Yeah, I mean, one of my main influences, aside from Willie and Waylon and all that stuff, and Johnny Cash, and I still hold that in high regard, especially among some of the stuff that's coming out these days. But my dad sang, and he's still around. He still does it some, but yeah, he was probably the biggest influence, just because a lot of people emulate their heroes, I guess, like the Cashes and the Waylons or whatever, emulate them. I think I never saw my dad really pretending or trying to sing like someone else. He pretty much had his own style, and I think I probably developed mine just sort of as a result of that. He was a big influence, a really good singer. Definitely the reason I got it in my blood, and so he could have done big things himself, I think, but he chose to do the daddy thing, and he had kids, I don't, so it's a different world for sure.
Makes a big difference.
That's right.
No doubt. Can you speak a little bit on how you felt when you heard somebody else performing a song you wrote for the first time?
A few years back in Nashville, I had a couple of cuts by a couple of guys that were sort of, I guess, what you would consider mid-level. But the most exciting thing that happened to me along the way was Randy Travis, who I was a big fan. I loved his voice. Randy Travis cut not only one but two of my songs on an album called Rise and Shine. My song called Pray for the Fish was a follow-up single to Three Wooden Crosses, which was a big hit for him a few years back. And the first time I heard the song, I mean, we actually went to the studio. Kyle Lenny is his producer, and he brought us in and let us hear it. A lot of times as songwriters, obviously it's really it's exciting for us to hear the cut of the song that we wrote. It was our baby that was recorded by somebody we admire so much, and Randy was one of those guys. The funny story about the song. His wife, who was also his manager, Lib, from what I understand, didn't really like the song, or didn't get the humor of the song as much. Everybody else loved it, but she didn't. But she was the manager, so I mean that was a problem. But so from what I understand, they were tracking stuff in the studio, and they recorded a few of the other songs one day, and they took a break, and she decided to run out to the grocery store to pick up a few things. And so while she was gone, they rushed everybody back in there to record this one, because she didn't want them to record it. Well, so they did record it, and it ended up being a single, too. It didn't do great on the charts. It didn't get the proper amount of promotion, to be honest with you. But it's still one of my favorite copyrights of anything I've written. And I remember I actually, when I was signed to Warner Brothers and coming out myself, I had an opportunity to open up for him, open a show for him in Salt Lake City, Utah. And we did our show, and afterwards we went out and sat in the crowd and watched him do his show. And it was just the neatest thing to see him do my song. I mean, the crowd around me, they got all excited and they were singing along to it. It was a crowd favorite from his live stuff, and he had told us that before. So it was just a really neat thing, and it makes you feel really vindicated for saying, hey, I wasn't crazy after all. Hey, this actually works. So. But yeah, it's a real neat thing. My biggest hit, as far as anything on the chart, was a song called "A Few Questions" that Clay Walker recorded, and it went top 10. And it was so that was a neat thing. And I remember the first time I heard it on the radio. I was actually at the time working part-time at a GNC store. A friend of mine owned one in Nashville, and I used to help him out there. basically ring people up at the cash register and sit in the back and write songs while nobody was in the store. But sorry, Joey. But yeah, it came on the radio, and it's neat, you know. I mean, it kind of makes the hair stand up on your arms, you know. I mean, in those days, you know, you get a lot of downers in the music biz, you know, as in life. But when those things happen, it makes it all kind of come into focus and makes you makes you happy about what you're doing. Because there's some days when you're not. So.
Well, I bet that is amazing.
It is. It's cool. It is.
You know, since you've been living in Nashville so long, what do you like when you do come home? You know, you apparently get to North Carolina so infrequently. You know, what kind of jumps out at you as kind of your favorite thing when you do get here?
Man, you know, I just love coming back, and you know, for the last 10, 15 years, you know, I've only gotten back here for the most, maybe 4 or 5 times in a year. Most of the time, less than that. And, you know, it's just an obvious, more laid back lifestyle. You know, I mean, not that Nashville is any big booming metropolis by any means, but you know, I'm there and I'm wrapped up in the career and the business, and I'm hauling ass here and there and trying to make it all stick together. And come back here, and you know, Dad's sitting in his chair and Mom's standing in the kitchen. They're doing their same old thing, and you know, the deer are walking around in the backyard, and it's just different. You know, it's home. You know? I mean, I think I don't know if I'll ever live here again, but it's you know, it's definitely a place that I always will love coming back to. Unfortunately, so you know, the path we take in life sometimes takes us away from where our roots are. You know, and it's kind of hard to conduct a songwriting career or music business career or touring career living somewhere like this. Although it's possible, but you know, I'd have to have a whole lot more money in my own Learjet or helicopter if I lived here. So.
Is there one thing you miss the most about North Carolina?
You know, the thing I miss the most about being here, well, North Carolina I love. It's just a great state, hometown, great place to grow up. But you know, I mean, I haven't lived here for the most part, or you know, in this town anyway, since I was 18, and you know, you just miss the innocence and the carefree life it was as a kid, you know, as a teenager and growing up, and you know, so I mean that's always the, you know, the nostalgia that's attached to the feeling. So that's what I miss the most. I mean, you know, I miss running through the sprinkler during the summer, and you know, riding my dirt bike and getting covered in mud and skinning up my knees and all that kind of stuff. You know. And it's, you know, it's the same, but it's also changed a lot. You know, I mean, every time I come here, I think I notice something different. You know, but that's what time does.